Simon, we'll get to the positives before we go through the injuries, but the new training hub opening this week, how good has it been to move in here over the last couple of days?
It's changed very little for us as a staff. Our office is still out of the way there, but yeah, having an area you can occupy as your own and have a bit of control over, that's the reasoning behind it, obviously. I think it's a work in progress as a partnership and, the use of it, but it gives us a base, a bit of Hull FC on the walls, which is nice to see.
What will that do for the players, having their own somewhere to call home?
Yeah, well, I think for the last couple of years since coming here, it's been waiting for this to happen, if you like. So we've been a little bit all over the shop. It just gives you a little bit of a base, I suppose, rather than being a bit bitter, if you like. It joins us up a bit.
In terms of coaching, I know you said it's not made too much difference at this point, but having all the players under one roof, your first team and academy players, what can that do for both you and John as well in the future, working with Franny and Richard?
Yeah, I think as a staff, we're all in an office next door now together. That's from scholarship all the way through, which is good. That means we should have a good understanding of everything that's going on across the board there. And I think for the players, seeing each other in and around it will be good for them as well, because then they start creating little relationships to when they step up from academy. It's not quite as daunting for them. But it's more for the players, I think, than it is the coaches. But they are a little bit closer to us now. We've been over the Wayne office over there for a while, and just them brief chats and interactions and a bit of video work. Sometimes probably miss each other a little bit because of the moving around, but yeah, it brings us closer together.
How did you find today having the sponsors and the club's partners around watching training?
Fine, really. We just get on with the day-to-day. Interesting seeing the boys after do a little bit of coaching. I think they think it's easy, and then you put them in front of one group was, I think the oldest would have been 12, 13, the rest were all about 8 or 9, and a few of them melted a little bit, so hopefully I get a little bit of respect out of them for that.
In terms of your injuries, I've seen Jed Cartwright outside walking about, taking selfies. What are his chances of being involved at the weekend?
Yeah, he's in it. He's in. Healed really, really fast, really. We thought it could potentially have been longer than has it been 5 weeks, maybe 6 weeks. Happy to have him back, but yeah, I know you're going to come with the negatives and who's missing and whatnot, but yeah, we are just going down the line of we can only control what we can't control people being injured or banned. We've just got to get on with it with what we've got.
Will Jed make the squad at least?
Yeah, 100%.
How much is he chomping at the bit, given it feels a lifetime ago that he arrived back in June and he's had to wait a while for getting his chance? Yeah,
definitely. And it is difficult joining a new team anyway, but then to get injured straight off the bat and not be able to contribute in what's been a tough time, not ideal for him, but he gets on more with the boys, he's settled in now, and he needs to get out there and show us what he's got.
Elsewhere, Herman Asauce missed out last time. How's he doing with his knee issue?
He's probably still not 100%, but he's right enough to play. He's completed everything he needs to so far. We've got one last session, but we are the bones of the bones, so I'd expect to see him out there.
Are there a fair few players that you're going to have to push through the pain barrier this weekend, even if you don't?
I think there's plenty with the lumps and bumps and the more chronic stuff that you carry through the season. No one will be playing that is in danger of hurting themselves any more than anyone else who takes the rugby field. But yeah, it's definitely lumps and bumps and whatnot.
I suppose the other side of the coin is the likes of Jack Charles, who you gave to the academy side to perhaps protect him. Are you reaching a point now where you haven't got that option of being able to protect those younger players anymore?
No, we don't have that option now. It's tough. There's probably another couple of those young lads could play between now and the end of the year, and as I've said before, sorry to repeat myself, but the ideal scenario of bringing those young lads in, getting them in is going down the line of having 15, 16 men, senior blokes, experience under the belt who can help them through and make sure their experience and initiation into that senior rugby is good. But we don't have that luxury, so it is what it is. But if you ask Charles, you'll ask any of those young lads, they want to play anyway, regardless of what we think about looking after them. Charles will come in. He's done a good job this year for us. But yeah, we are where we are. As I say, we've obviously lost people through multiple reasons, and we are now down to having probably, I think we're about 20 fit this week, but including in that 20s a chunk of young lads as well.
Which of the other younger players are you looking at for this weekend?
Well, Will Hutchinson, 9 from the academy, Ryan Westerman, centre. Who else have we got in there? Will Kirby's obviously in there as well, and a whole host of others that are training with us at present. But we've been playing. Our fringe players have been getting more exposure than we'd have expected, and to be having to potentially bring in those lads who we didn't want to go anywhere near this year shows where we're at. But again, we can have a little sulk every time we lose a player to injury or ban, but you can't hang on to it too long. There's no point. You just got to get on with it.
Outside of Herman and Jed, the 2 suspensions that you've got, and obviously the 2 that are out for HIAs, is there anyone else that's picked up an injury since the St Helens game that you're also going to be without?
Yeah, Jake Truman, he's gone potentially for the rest of it as well, which wasn't great news. Truey felt like a bit of tightness in his Achilles, not the one he's had injury on recently, in the other side. And obviously, as a precaution, because of what he's been through, we didn't want to risk anything, sent him for a scan, and we all got shocked, really. He thought it was just going to be a bit of tightness, but he's got a couple of tears, not in his Achilles, not sure which muscle or whatever, close to, which is putting some strain on his Achilles, and they need to heal. And that'll take however long it takes, and with 7 weeks left, I doubt we'll be lucky to see him again, I think. So it puts further strain on where we're at.
How is he doing? Because it just feels like every time he gets a run injury-free, something else crops up and knocks him out again.
Disappointed, obviously. But there is, they're not the information from the specialist that's read the scan and whatnot, obviously experiencing that field, is that this may have been what he had last time before the other one went. Obviously, if the muscles shut down because of the pain, you're overloading their Achilles and then the potential for rupture. So although it's gutting for us, the team, him individually, but there is that silver lining, if you like, of at least we did the right thing and looked properly at it and potentially helped him avoid another layoff, which would have been pretty tough to take for him, I think. So yeah, we're good, absolutely good, but
yeah. In terms of trying to spin positives, is there any chance of having anyone else back this week?
This week? No. Jed is there, coming back in, and potentially Herman. Other than that, they're either banned or they're injured. Or they're not here.
Yeah. You got Sam Essay though available.
Oh, of course, yeah. Sam's available, yeah. Which is good for us.
How's he been looking?
Good. Big body. Fortunate really to get him in at the last minute. Obviously was at Leeds. I know Leeds wanted to keep him, go back to Wigan. A conversation happened. Potential for him to come out. Leeds in the fight for the playoffs. Obviously we're not in that fight, and the benefit for his development is to go and play every week, and he's got the opportunity to do that here. A great opportunity they would have had if he'd have gone back to Wigan and stayed there for the rest of the year. So yeah, really fortunate to have got him. He's excited to go and play. He's linked up with a few former teammates in Yusuf and Leon Ruin from the time at Wakefield, so he's settled in real quick, and I'm sure he'll get better as we go along as he gets to know those around him. But yeah, fortunate to have got him in.
Just one final perhaps positive, Jordan Lane being suspended. You're only player who had been ever present prior to this weekend. Could that be a benefit in some way to get him a bit of a break in terms of the minutes that he's played? Yeah,
possibly. But Laney I know he'd want to play every one of them. And to be honest, he hasn't shown any signs of looking tired. So yeah, we'll miss him. He's been a bit of a Swiss Army knife at times. He's played 9, centre, back row, in the middle for us. He's done a great job in all of them, and yeah, he's done a great job this year. Been a really good leader in his actions, and he will be missed. He could play a couple more positions between now and the end. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, again, try to take the silver lining out of it. He gets a week off, just to rest himself a little bit, and he'll be ready to go next week.
Another yellow card on Saturday for Brad Fash. Why do you think those cards and indiscipline have started creeping back in recent weeks?
So, I think, well, when was the last one? Was it?
Well, Leigh would have been at Catalans.
Leigh at Catalan. That were another one where, was it a yellow possibly in today's game? I don't think it were a red. But that's the way it goes. You can't control him either. But yeah, Fash is just it's a sloppy, lazy, tired effort at the weekend. And, you know, whether we like it or not, and I know it's not nice to hear, but when you're struggling and you're doing the beep test turns, you're turning around, they're coming at you again, your energy, you know, leaves you, and that's when your movement becomes harder and you end up mistiming stuff. And with us having quite a lot of young blokes on the field at the moment who aren't used to, they're getting used to it because they've played quite a bit, but yeah, they're not quite there with it, the physical element at them yet. They're trying like mad, they are, but it's tough for them. So obviously the game goes at a speed that you're not comfortable with, and that's when sometimes these things happen. But again, we're not going to moan about it. The letter of the law. He does it in late. Move on. It's more to do with fatigue than I think trying to be a foul play or trying to hurt anyone or anything.
I know it's a difficult time at the moment, but last weekend you described some of your more experienced players as average in that defeat to St Helens. What do you then want to see from them against Leigh to make amends for that?
Well, we haven't got that many out there. Listen, they were average. I'm not saying they were terrible, but from what you need from your older lads in the team, they need to drag those young lads along and help them through those tough bits. So we need to see that. For mine, I'll say it again, if we're judging this lot just on the scoreboard, you know, we're going to be shooing them in for a while maybe, based on the opposition we've got in front of us. But for mine, I just want to see that effort, togetherness, and there will be tough periods in these games. I mean, Leigh, once they get it going quick, Ipape, Amon, Mulhern, Brad Dwyer, obviously, as we all know really well, they can make the game really hard for you. So, you know, we need to counter that with our effort and making sure we're together and really leaving it all out there. And I'd like the older boys in the group to lead that.
Why do you think you did get an average performance from those older players?
Again, the game's very quick. It's not just very quick for the young wingers or the young middles that are playing. It's quick for all of them when you're on there, and some of it might be a little bit of trying a little bit too hard as well to try and play that senior role, but not quite nailing it. Listen, the game against Saints, the numbers don't lie. You look at the stats; they ran for more metres, more post-contact metres. So physically, we got out-muscled by a big pack, and you know, if you stand the teams next to each other, you can sort of see why. It doesn't make it acceptable to go, well, that's why, and move on. You know, we need to be better and stand up to that physical contest, even though we might come out the wrong side of it now and again. But if we're giving it everything, you know, we give ourselves a chance.
In terms of Leigh, I mean, I suppose the rhetoric of the game will be dominated by the fact that a number of players from there are coming here next year, and the Lachlan Land saga's still ongoing. How do you think both sides will avoid trying to be sucked into that narrative, I suppose?
As playing groups, I don't think the playing group would be too bothered. I think the lads that are coming here will obviously want to do a good job and show the Hull fans what they're getting, and also show their teammates and their club that they're still behind that badge for now. So that's theirs to deal with. I think for us, we just get on with the next game.
What do you make of Leigh at the moment and their chances of making the top six?
Yeah, I think they're a good team. I think the attack as good as, or probably better than most teams, to be fair. They've got some quality, Nasiata and Lamb, both back on the pitch together. That makes them dangerous, but they've got their dramas as well. Playing Tuesday night, hopefully it's took a bit out of them. But yeah, they're a good team and a bit of a dark horse to get in there. They're in that fight at the edge of it, and I'm sure they've got enough in there to hang on and have a go of it.
You mentioned the fact they played on Tuesday. They won't have Matt Moreland, I don't think, as a result. They risked him and it didn't work out well. So how do you think that particular injury and how they'll be doing physically could benefit you?
We'll have to be really good, look after the ball and try and make it an energy game. For them, I'd imagine they'll come out wanting to start fast and front load their energy and see how they go with that. Yeah, Zach Hardacre on the bench, if he comes in and play full back rather than Moreland, it's hardly a terrible swap, is it? They're a good team, but yeah, we'll just prepare, and we are going down the line of looking after ourselves really and try the best with what we've got and see where that gets us.
Interesting that Zach's been in and out of the starting 13 recently. What have you made of that?
I don't know. I've only watched the games, skimmed the games, if you like, the last couple of games rather than watching them in detail. I don't know the reasoning behind it, whether it's injuries and covering and tactical thoughts or anything like that. I'm not sure, but yeah, he's a good player.
Just finally on yourselves, with all the injuries and suspensions that you've got, given the improvement that we've seen in recent weeks, how do you try and prevent that from going awry with being down to bare bones at the moment?
We've got what we've got. Like, I don't know off the top of my head how many games we've got between those on the field. Or if you take out a Herman, for example, or one or two more experienced ones, there won't be a hell of a lot of games between those that are playing. So it's tough for them to learn on the run. Yeah, no excuses. No one cares. We've just got to get on with it and stick together, really.
Sam, thanks for your time.
No worries.
Grix, tough. That's a bit of an understatement right now, isn't it? But what's the mentality going forward? Like, how are you going to negate the final 7 rounds of the season now to get the best outcomes you can?
Tough question. Don't know the best answer, or a more honest answer, I suppose, than we're just going to try do the best of what we've got. There ain't any other way. Not too interested in. Obviously, everyone will have their say, and I'm sure we'll get a bit of a kick in at times when it doesn't go great. But we are where we are. We've got what we've got, and we have to back each other and stick together, because when the back's to the walls, you need each other, don't you? And that's us at the moment. It's tough. I don't even have to tell you, do I really? You see the team lists. We know who's out injured, banned, who's left the club already. There's been a hell of a lot of change this year that's been really difficult to contend with on a weekly. It's not just been every other week. It seems like there's something every other day at times. So it's been a tough one, and with 7 weeks left, I don't like saying it, but it will be a year that we'll all want to put behind us in a race from memory. There's a lot of learnings in amongst for myself, everyone involved individually and collectively, but 7 weeks left. It's not something to brush under the carpet. We've got to try and keep getting better, and even if that's some small wins for individuals or position groups, whether it's our back three or our edges or whatever, we have to find them to keep moving forward. Otherwise, it can be pretty grim on a week to week if we don't.
Obviously, you learn a lot through moments of adversity, don't you? And you can how can that take you forward as a group? Obviously, having those tough times and obviously taking it all in, can you take anything positive out of it for next year? Can it build resilience or anything like that? Yeah,
of course it does. I think all these moments, I had it described to me as years ago, but adding layers to your resilience. Each knock is just another little layer, and later on down the track and things look a bit rosier, and you go through some tough periods. You've got this in the bank, haven't you? And you can hopefully look back and go, well, this is nowhere near as bad as what that was. We know we can get on and get through. So yeah, it's all experience building, and it's a bit like fitness training. You take in training pre-season, you take them to a bit of a dark place and they feel awful and everyone's struggling, but 6 weeks later they visited plenty of times and they know they can get on and get through. So hopefully that can come out in the future for them.
So when these young ones do come back in, let's say scenario next year where you get a few out and a few young lads in, will they be better prepared knowing that you've had a taste of Super League, it's been tough, but we've come through that, so it'd be a lot easier playing with a lot more, you'd hope, senior players and a lot more experience around them?
Yeah, definitely, and I think because of that experience, Lewis, I don't know how many, has he played like 15 games, something like that, 18, right? 18, Harvey's played maybe half a dozen this year between his injuries. He'll obviously get a few more between now and the end. More, you keep going. When they come in next year, they won't be overawed by it. I dare say those around them will have the confidence in them to know that they've been in that arena, if you like, before, and they know what to expect. And yeah, their confidence will be that they know they've been able to hold their own in patches when maybe they weren't as ready or the team weren't as ready for them the season previous. So yeah, good to have them in there, because that's that depth, isn't it, that you want in your squad. So when you do miss people, because that's the game, bans, injuries and all that, you are going to have to use your squad. Yeah, and those games will do it well good.
Well, see yourself as well, you've learned a lot this year, you've already told us that, but must do your coaching career the world of good as well now, and you've been through some tough times this year, but that will help you develop as well.
Yeah, I hope it won't be like this ever again, to be honest. This is the part of the toughest coaching, is trying to bring people up every week when they're up against it, and some of it's beyond our control, obviously, so it gets frustrating. It's been a very difficult year to sit in front media on a weekly, again, without being in control of everything that's going on. It's tough, but I wouldn't want to be anywhere else. I might not want to stand in front of the camera so often, but yeah, I love my job. I love doing what I do, and it is experience nonetheless.
The club have been criticised as a whole through these tough times in not being able to stand up and sort of folding away when it does get tough. So dealing with this, I'm trying to spin it, trying to take it into a positive, but collectively as a whole organisation, it can surely it must, embed something deep for future. That's when it does happen again, you'll be able to ride through it a little bit better.
Yeah, I think you're right on all that. I think the other obvious thing for me is expectation and reality. Probably been out of kilter. Well, definitely been out of kilter. As bad as this year is, I think maybe it's probably aligned some of that now, and we can actually move forward as opposed to dealing with that pressure that's probably been over the playing group here the last few years to do really well when really probably haven't been set up for that sort of success that fans crave. So yeah, I think we've probably give ourselves a bit of a foundation. We've found this ability to keep turning up, which has been great. It's a tough lesson to learn. But yeah, there are positives, as you say, and hopefully, again, you got a foundation in there now you build off, and hopefully we don't visit these scenarios again.
Obviously, Rich has been pretty vocal already about expectations and managing them. Obviously, he did a Q&A with us a few weeks ago. And how important is that as a club to get those messages from the very top that it's not all about silverware and instant success. It's going to be a long road in a process, and you need hard work to get there. Yeah,
well, it's tough because obviously there's a balance, isn't there? You want to sell tickets, you want to sell merchandise, you want to get people involved and excite your fans because it's entertainment. That's what they're after. But again, you have to be realistic. I just think it's a good opportunity painting that picture and showing people a direction you're going in. You've got the journey to go on. I think fans can really buy into that, and probably, I don't mean this to be disrespectful to anyone that's come before, but maybe talking straight to people has probably been what they've needed, as opposed to selling what might not be quite realistic for us at the moment, or in the recent past anyway. So again, there's positives in there, and in doing that, it's not trying to downplay it to take the pressure off, because there's going to be pressure, and there should be. Is it potentially a big club? But the word potential is the obvious bit. The biggest thing about our club is our fan base. Big fan base that will get bigger once we start getting things in order. And as I said, now setting a bit of a direction about where we're going. I mean, when the dust settles, I'm sure Richie, in the background there, the club are developing some sort of, plan, like where we're going. Maybe not quite as we want to win grand final next year sort of thing, but when do we see ourselves in that fight? And I do think people will get on board with it, and obviously those young lads you're seeing this year are a big part of that, and I think that's what's probably connected everyone, the efforts from those lads, and seeing them move along that journey will be nice for everyone as well. So there's a long way to go. There isn't a magic wand, and there isn't a quick fix to it, so we've just got to wade through it at the moment. It will get better. It is getting better. It's just we can't quite see it yet.
Top man. Cheers, Grix.
No worries.
Just a couple from me. Seen Mitch training out there today. How far off is he now? Obviously, having missed 18 months of action.
I still wouldn't expect him to play this year. He's out there with us now. He's still got a bit to do, to be fair, to be considered to actually go out and play the game. He'd probably play tomorrow, Mitch, if you asked him. But obviously we've got a duty of care to make sure he's able to go out on that pitch and not put himself through any other mishaps. It's been tough for him. I wasn't here when he did the injury, but I do know that some complications early have really slowed it down. So it's unfortunate, and could have done with him, couldn't we? So yeah, good for Mitch. It's tough. I've been there. When you're out for that length of time, it's tough, but yeah, you can't do anything about it.